this is just such a masterclass in working with what you have, and better yet, understanding that you don't need everything that you bring, and how the harmony of a good location, great actors, and professional simplicity can be all a director and a DP need to make a scene look like freaking magic. Hey, it's your boy Davis, in the same shirt, yet again. But enough about that, let's talk about something important, and I mean very, very important, because almost a year ago is when we filmed what I consider to be the Six Shop's biggest endeavor, and that is Trial 54, our science fiction short film, proof of concept for a feature that is actually going to be public come August 21st. We're even doing some screenings as well, but to kind of continue the hype train of this celebration, I wanted to talk about how we made the damn thing. Because this truly was a huge endeavor by multiple passionate filmmakers who saw the absolute insanity of the ambition and said, it, we can do it. And we did. With literally 0 seconds to spare, but yeah, we did it. And in this particular video, I want to talk about the cinematography of this shot, and this shot. And I think you would genuinely be surprised at how we pulled this shot off. And the absolute insanity that we did this thing for just shy of $5,000. So without further ado, let's dive into the cinematography of this scene from Trial 54. First off, the camera setup. The A camera for a majority of this film was the OG Alexa Mini. There were some pickups done with the Ursa Mini Pro G2, but for pretty much 90% of this film, the Alexa Mini was the Warhorse. The lenses we used were the Cook Speed Pancros, the Rehouse versions. Thanks to the lovely people at Lightbulb Rentals in Pittsburgh, we were able to get a 3-piece set. I could have gotten more, but honestly, I wanted to maintain a very, and I mean very strict visual language with this film. So at the risk of handicapping my DP and the rest of my camera team, I said, you can only use these 3 lenses. I don't regret that. Making rules for your film, I think, are so important to lock in on your visual language, but we'll save that talk for another day. As for what we put the camera on for this scene in particular, it was either on sticks, a Dana Dolly, or a Steadicam. And we actually had a lot of lights for this. We had aperture 1200s available, we had 600s, 300s, Infinibars, Novas, Pava tubes, Titan tubes, a bunch of light mats, MC lights. We had a bunch of stuff. But the reality is that this scene used at maximum 5 lights, and that is including the practicals in the background. But before we dive into the lights, let's get into what my DP and I would agree was the most crucial part of that entire scene and why it feels so good, and that is the location. Every one of their mothers talks about the location when it comes to Trial 54. And it's the thing I get asked about the most. Where'd you guys shoot it? Where'd you guys shoot it? And it was actually in an abandoned rail house out in McKeesport outside of Pittsburgh. I scouted with the owner, we talked for a long time, and we worked it out to where we were allowed to shoot there on set for 2 days over the weekend. And the good people at W&E Investments were nothing but gracious, letting us even use their offices across the street as a green room, because this building was about as abandoned could get. And that's what the story called for. A quote-unquote station factory that has gone completely derelict, that is now become a victim of nature, and as you see with the graffiti, some hooligan shenanigans. Thematically, this building was perfect. This one had the 3 things that we were really looking for, and that was the size, the texture, and the lighting. You can see on the right here, and also in some of the behind the scenes, is essentially like these windows, I guess. Really, they're more just blown out parts of the concrete. And then there's this, I don't know what this is. It's like a sheet metal material. Somebody please educate me on what that is, but whatever it was the perfect block for the sun to allow it to kind of bloom out a little bit, but still see the detail and act as the ambient key light that was spilling into the entirety of the room. It was perfect. And there's an entire back section of the building that we didn't use because the entire roof was completely exposed, but that ambient spill was only acting as more depth and getting us more of that checkerboard effect of lighting when we shot the reverses with Molly. And then how everything kind of fell into darkness but still had great texture for Jack's shot was just absolutely perfect for him. Not to mention, if you look at the ceiling, I've actually had some people wonder if we put like a tube array or some kind of light up there to get this perfect cone light, and nope, that is just an exposed part of the roof where it's supposed to connect at the tip, but instead it's just open, and it gave us this perfect top light. And the DP Mikey, along with myself and the rest of the camera team, knew that for composition, leaning into the shapes that we were getting from this lighting was just gonna put the composition on easy mode. Now this is just a little glimpse of a full educational course that we're making around Trial 54, where we're gonna dive into every little nook and cranny into how we made this film, from the writing, the pre-production, the principal photography, behind the scenes of the shoot, all the way to how we even marketed and presented this film to potential financiers, and to see how we chase the future of Trial 54 becoming a feature film. That course will be available at sixshotfilms.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter, which will keep you up to date on everything, but expect it to drop the day the film drops. Now, because we are selling this course, and because it's a reward for some of our Indiegogo backers when we did the crowdsourcing campaign, there's only so much that I'm going to make freebies on YouTube, but nevertheless, I at least want to make a couple good freebies. Now let's actually talk about the lights we used to put into this scene. The main light that was almost always on for this setup was an Aperture Nova 300 passing through a quarter strength silk that was just draped over two boom arms hanging from C-stands. And this thing was pretty far back from our talent, and for pretty much most of the day, it was at 10%. I don't think we ever took that thing past 50% the more the sun started to become a hard light as it was setting, or when we started losing light. But that Nova on a low percentage was a majority of what we were working with, even through the diffusion. And it was all just for the sake of amplifying and piggybacking off of the natural light that was hitting our character. So that way we can get our Rembrandt, we can get our little baby catch lights, but still maintain that deep, dark, mysterious mood that we wanted in this film. The other lights that were always on throughout all these sequences was 3 infinity bars. Because they're magnetic, we were able to just slap them on the steel pillars that were hanging in the back there, just to give the idea that this building used to be something. It used to be something in operation, and it's something that our main character has gone out of the way to try to bring it back to life in some way, even though it's clearly gone to absolute. We put the 3rd infinity bar just under the door there, because that door is a pretty big thematic part of the film, so we wanted to kind of spotlight it a little bit without being too much, so just gaff taping an infinity bar on the door frame was all we needed to do. The only other light we actually used involving subjects was a Steadicam tube. No diffusion, no grid, just a straight up tube on a C-stand. For the scenes with Jack, this was used as a hair light and to just get the shoulders a little bit lifted away from the really deep darkness we were getting from the back left corner of that room. And for Molly, it was used in the same exact way. Because we actually still liked the ambience that the Nova was giving us from the position it was at, we actually found just putting the Titan tube right by her face to work excellently as the close-up light, and we really got some interesting detail that's almost bordering on this like harsher light. But I think what it's doing to the skin, especially when you combine it with what's going on with her eyes, what's going on with the VFX, we found just a bare naked Titan tube for the close-ups was a great solution. And then the question just became, what shots are on sticks where we just want to hone in on the conversation? What shots were on a dolly to get that little ominous push and pull feel as we move into different parts of the film? And then of course, deciding to have our Steadicam shot as our introduction to the entire piece. Going into this film, I made it very clear that my influences for this were the pacing and the movement of something like a Christopher Nolan film, but a lot of that tonality and darkness you get from one of my favorite David Fincher films, Seven. By combining those two ideals, I think we really came out with something that truly felt like our own, but I think a keen eye could probably pick out those influences pretty easily, actually. And guys, that's it. I could sing the praises of the crew until I die. The camera team with Mikey, Stefano, and Davey, along with our grip team with Cheryl, Aiden, the whole damn camera team sweeping into those positions, and also our very thankful and very special appearance from Philip Atkins, who provided us the Nova and the Infinity bars and was also the man on the Sidus link when it came time to do the gag lights that you have seen in the trailer. If you look in the description below, I put an entire full credits list of everybody involved with this film, because this was really a 110% effort by every single human being that was there. It was nonstop, it was stressful, but it was rewarding, it was fun. It was up there with the top 5 best moments of my life. And no, Peyton, that does not outrank my wedding, I promise. Now for the next freebie, I'm gonna dive into the gear that we selected to make this film. The reason why we picked this gear, the influences behind it, and also a little bit of what into the actual producing of getting these logistics together to pull off this film at such a microscopic budget. And I also want to say, if you're in the Pittsburgh or New Jersey area, Trial 54 is going to have private screenings over the summer. We're still honing down the dates, but we're going to get something very soon. So if you're in Pittsburgh or in the South Jersey area or Philly, be on the lookout for those dates because we're going to be showing the film. We're going to be having panels with cast and crew that are able to show up, showing exclusive behind the scenes content, and showing off some other projects from the 3 companies that came together to make this film happen, and potentially some other very special sneak peeks. But until then, be sure to subscribe to this channel so that all of your Trial 54 news and all of your 6 Shop news is ready and available. Or don't, and never see my film, which unfortunately is a risk I have to be willing to take. Don't you just love filmmaking? This has been Davis with the 6 Shop, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.